Hello everyone, Mr. Loy here. In this part of the training video, I'm going to show you how this rendered so-called steady hand game. Alright, we don't have the handle holder and the handle itself, and of course the circuitries we did not draw. If you really have the time, you can actually go about doing it, but this is expected of you. So how do you get from your basics there all the way to here? So in the interest of time, actually I will just run through and maybe do some quick demos, along the way. But of course, to save your time watching, I actually have done the work already. So let me just hide this first. All right, there's a few layers here. Okay, so now you don't see anything. So it started off with, of course, the other training video mentioned about how you get so-called the image from internet, all right, like the pine wood and the gelotong, and to make use of the dropper effect and apply it over the surface of your drawing. Now this is pretty light here. I hope you can see. We normally start off with a isometric template, all right, like so. So of course, just to highlight, if this is my base point here, all right, so if this is my base point here, I have a parallel line which is actually not really parallel. It actually will meet at a point very far towards my right hand side. Okay, so likewise you can see this parallel line moving towards the left. It's not really parallel because if you extend both, all right, it will meet at a point very far, all right, like at the horizon. And of course vertical lines remain the same, they are vertical. Okay, and then of course this part here, all right, the thickness also, it looks like it's parallel line, but it's actually slightly wider here and it gets narrower there, and therefore it will meet at a point very far away towards the left hand side. So this is what we call perspectives in per se, right? Isometric will be at a 30 degrees angle with the horizontal, and it usually looks like a crate or a box. So in this case, it shows a bit of a realism. All right, so how do you actually draw this? All right, so just to do a quick demo, you call out the ruler. All right, this is the ruler, this is the flexible curve, and this is the elliptical tool or the oval or the circle tool, or the compass we call it. So with two fingers, all right, you can actually manipulate, and then you just use this to slide up and down. All right, sometimes it doesn't move, sometimes you actually move the drawing below. All right, just let go, tap on undo, and things like that. So so you align it here. All right, so for example, I'm not actually going to draw that line because there will be double line here. So from this vertical line, you actually select the pencil and then you decide how thick it is. Okay, it should be thinly drawn, all right, thin continuous line. All right, don't need to apply too heavy a pressure because it's just as a reference. Okay, so this is how you draw using the ruler. And of course, overreach, you actually do a freehand. All right, so for my case, all right, it looks something somewhat like that. All right, this is the base that I'm going to draw. So the fastest way is to just draw what you see. So for example, this is the top surface. All right, so let me make it bigger so you can see. All right, so you use the perspective template as a guideline to kind of like decide, the thickness is somewhat uniform, all right, constant, and this is your reference point where it makes the turn here. Okay, so for example here, this point here, all right, so it's really freehand for my case. So of course vertical line down here, and then you just go through. All right, so if I were to hide the perspective template, it should look like that. Okay, so of course add a layer before you draw. All right, don't draw on the layer that has this perspective template. Okay, so always add a layer. Right now, so jumping to the next layer, all right, you can see that I've actually added the colors already, which I explained in the previous training video on how to fill colors using the samples that you have pulled out from the internet. All right, so this is gelotong. So basically I've selected this one, all right, and then I use the dropper effect. Okay, and then I selected the dropper here, and then I fill the colors using the bucket here. All right, so of course before that, make sure that your outline is really taken care of so that there's so-called no gaps. If not, your paint will fill out onto the main canvas. All right, so you have to take care of that step first. Now other than that, remember to add a layer. All right, so you work on another master copy. Now you notice that when I turn on and off, right, you can see that this is actually black outline, and how come it becomes white, okay, and things like that. So if you actually do it correctly, right, it should be actually the color of your selected color, so to speak. Even if you have this, right, because you have to show in realism, all right, there's always light shining on the object. This part here could be brighter, there's reflection there, all right, so parts of the wood you can actually do a little bit of you know, your own decision. So I'm just going to show you how I'm going to take care of certain things here, all right. So I just make sure that I'm on the correct layer, all right. Yeah, this one is actually more realistic, as you can see, okay. All right, you can actually see here, I think I moved the thing a bit, okay. All right, so all right, this is the layer that actually I should be showing you, all right, but I think there's some errors here, but never mind. Maybe I will have moved this a little bit earlier on. So I'm just going to add a layer and demo there, all right. So I'm just going to duplicate, all right, duplicate. So the master is here, I hide it and then I lock it so that nothing happens, all right. This is also locked. So now I'm going to work on this one, all right, which is the top layer, all right, this one, so selected already. So what I meant was that you can actually use airbrush and then select maybe a bit of white, all right, and then you select how thick you want it to be, how the flow of the thing is. So I'm just going to make it bigger, all right. Okay, I'm not sure what happened here. Oh, okay, actually I touched something there. Okay, so let me hide this. So what I'm trying to say is, oh yeah, I can actually turn this on, you see. So you're going to be careful when you rest your hand here, all right? You can actually turn something on and off. So this is actually the desired effect that I want to show you, okay? So let me just add a little bit of a whitish here just to show you, okay? So it's over here, all right? Okay, maybe I need it to be a bit thinner. All right, you can see that it becomes lighter. All right, so you have to explore, all right, whether it looks real or not. So after you touch up, for example, right, after you touch up and then you zoom out and you see, hey, is it true or not? Does it look nice or not? Okay, if not, you just undo. Okay, so this is one part. Now let me zoom in to show you that actually I've actually drawn those lines, okay, the grain lines so-called, to mimic it. So you have to play with the dropper effect and select the so-called color of the tone. All right, so I'm going to move it in here. All right, so you can see that. Then you try to use the dropper effect over and over again. All right, it takes time. And of the thickness, you can actually run and parallel the grain line. All right, something like that. Okay, so I'm going to hide this. So what else to show you? Yes, the vertical support. So for the drawing not to get in the way, so I will actually hide this first. I'm going to show you how I draw out the vertical support. All right, you can actually do a duplicate and then you have two here. All right, there's another one here. All right, and you can see that this is slightly taller because if it's nearer us, all right, if it's nearer us, it's actually slightly taller, bigger, so-called, and then slightly further away, smaller. So you actually draw one and then you can duplicate and the other one. Okay, so what I do is on this top layer, imagine I've added a new layer here. I drew using the ruler, all right, and then you know, parallel it, that kind of thing, and then using pencil, not airbrush, and then black, of course, okay, black, and then I come up with this. Okay, so of course it's also good to test, make sure to turn off the ruler first, all right, to test whether you can actually feel the color properly. So sometimes I just use yellow and I just tap inside here. All right, now you cannot tap inside here. You know what happens? It fills out everything. Why? Because you have not told the software, all right, the app, that you are filling in something here only. So you have to use the what we call the magic wand. The selection tool is over here. So this is the magic wand, all right, and then when you double tap in the area that you want, okay, you can see that these are all highlighted. Now I want to zoom in and show you that there's something magical happen there. If you can squeeze your eyes and see, there are actually dotted lines over the outline here. All right, for this surface there are dotted lines here to show that you have selected this, and it's artificial intelligence shows you that, hey, this is what you want, right? Okay, so you will tap in the fill color, choose the color, and then you just tap it in. Okay, to fill this side, all right, for example, you have to reselect this surface here. So what you do is just turn it off, deselect, and then you just double tap here. Alright, and then you can see and inspect carefully. Oh, actually this surface has the dotted lines now. So what you do is you go to the fill, and maybe you want to change the color here. Alright, of course in this case just showing you with very artificial colors. You should be using the texture tones of the real jelutong wood. In this case it's pine wood now. Alright, using pine wood. So just to show you the effect. Okay, so just to demo again, alright, I'm going to show you this one, the pine. Alright, so what you do is you use the dropper effect, and then I'm going to select something darker. Alright, and where am I applying it? So make sure you are on the correct layer, right over here, and I'm going to zoom in. Firstly, I'm going to deselect the previous surface. I'm going to reselect the top surface. Alright, you can see that the so-called square is dotted outline. And of course the color, I've already used the so-called dropper effect. I'm just going to select this color and just going to tap it in. Okay, it looks quite like the this one. Okay, the orange has changed because that's why I tap on it. So you can see that you can apply the dropper effect on it. Okay, so this is my original. Again, I made the mistake. I should have duplicated and then demo and then I delete away. Okay, so just allow me to reverse the steps. Okay, because I want to keep this as original. Okay, so now the lesson learned is that always duplicate. All right, duplicate, and all those unnecessary layers you can always just tap and then delete and throw it into the trash up there. So what I did was, you can see now, right, my very first vertical support, and I've added grain lines. Okay, I'm going to zoom in and show you. See, these are the grain lines, all right, that mimic real wood. And what I did here at the bottom here is I used the airbrush. Alright, I selected a darker tone. Alright, and then I just do a little bit of darkening at the bottom area. Alright, so I'm just going to show you here. Right, this side. So this is the color I've chosen. It's a bit darker. Make sure it's the correct layer that you're applying on, and then you can see. Alright, there's a change in the toning. Alright, sometimes the airbrush goes out. You just use the eraser and just erase carefully. Okay, so that being done. Alright, so it makes it more realistic in that sense. Okay, so let me just zoom out so they have a reference. And of course, the next one is the so-called second, longer, larger, so to speak, vertical support, which is the one that is in front here. Okay, so you repeat the same steps. Alright, you add a duplicate layer, and then you can actually apply the same steps over again. Alright, so I'm just going to show you over here a little bit of a reflection, so to speak. Okay, so down here the surface area is quite bright because the light shines on it directly. So what you can do is you make use of the ruler, alright, and probably at this angle, the airbrush, and we choose white. So you just run lightly across, alright, just flick it, you know, that kind of thing, and then use your finger to move the ruler out a bit, and then just run lightly a few times, okay, to show a little bit of reflection. And you ask yourself, is it real? Does it look like that? Okay, if it doesn't, then of course you have to undo and so-called redo the steps. Now I just show you a error I always make, because the ruler is always turned on, and you thought you are actually airbrushing here, but nothing happens, right? Because the airbrush is done here, all right, along this area. So you just got to be careful. If you want to do it freehand, you have to remove the ruler, and then you just do a bit of airbrushing this way. Okay, all right. Now for man-made materials like acrylic or metallic, you probably will have more defined so-called white line, so that like the light rays, you know. So you make sure that you can use a pencil, and then you just flick it up. All right, so just to show you that one flick. Okay, you can see that it's very clear here. All right, so I've actually started from here, and of course, let's say this is a metallic material like your this one here. All right, your handle, if you draw this, the handle holder is made of aluminium, so you may want to use the ruler and do a little of sparkling. So imagine this material, this vertical support is now metallic. All right, so you do a bit of flick there. All right, and then maybe slightly thinner, flick down. Right, So it kind of like shows you a little bit of sparkle there, all right, from far, all right. There's a bit of sparkle. Of course, this wood will not sparkle like that, because you absorb the light. So I'm just gonna undo, all right, to this stage here, all right. Okay, so this is how you actually show a bit of reflection and so on and so forth, right? You can do it on the side that's brighter, this side is darker, right? So try to maintain the consistency. So for example, the second support, this is darker, this side is brighter. You cannot have something this is lighter, this is darker, and then this side is darker and then that side is brighter, okay, unless there's really something obstructing it. Okay, so I'm going to hide these two. So the last few stage here, what I did was I duplicate, all right, and then I move it up so that I keep the masters here. And then just to show you this one, all right, so this is the rendered one already, right, more or less, okay. And then just to show you this one here and this one here. So how do I move these two over? All right, so just to show you, so I'm going to use a previous one here, this one. All right, so for example, this is the layer here I've chosen. So imagine I've chosen this layer, okay, but I'm just going to use this one to show you. You tap on transform, all right, you just use one finger, all right, you can use your Apple Pencil to move also, all right, then you can decide where you want and then you do done, all right. Of course, there are other features, all right, like the distort tool, you know, to make it more perspective wise, but here you don't need to. There are other areas that you can actually rotate. You can actually rotate, you see, all right. All right, of course, I'm not gonna do that, all right. So this is just to demo. So I'm just gonna hide this one here. So you repeat the same step for the other one, okay. Somehow I don't like this, it's not really vertical. Okay, so you can actually you know, resize it like that very easily. Okay, you just duplicate and then resize it to make this one slightly bigger. All right, so to hide this. Now the last bit is actually the wire course. All right, just going to show you the wire course. It's very easily drawn. So I'm just going to add a layer just to demo this. Later I delete away. So you select your pencil, all right, and then you choose the so-called the largest size possible if you want to. Okay, and of course it's not white color, so make sure it's black, okay, for example. And then you can start off here by pressing it hard, you know. Okay, this is a bit too thick already lah. Okay, so you can show your lettering. Okay, there's something, there's an error there. All right, what is this error? When we bend the Nicromeyer, is usually not like that. Okay, it's difficult for your handle hook to go through this way, so of course you have to undo and redraw. All right, so that's how you do it, and then you add the layer. All right, now of course sometimes you want you are very happy with what you have already and you want every layer to just collapse or combine to show you just whatever you want to see, okay. So what you do is you can use you have to unhide those that you want to combine. You just tap on the topmost layer here. All right, there's this thing that says merge. Do not merge all. If you merge all, you merge everything all the way to the bottom layer, right? So you just merge one at a time. Okay, so I'm not gonna merge because I don't know how to unmerge. So what you do is you just tap on this, it will merge with this one. All right, and then you tap on here, you merge with the next one below it, and so on until the one that you want. So what happens is that all these four parts, right, 1 2 3 4 parts, right, will be all on one layer. You see all this combined together. Okay, so I'm not going to show that. So I hope you can continue with applying a little bit of color rendering, all right, now that you know, to call out from the internet, all right, find appropriate images for you to do the grain line, gelotong, and then the pine wood. Try to finish off the handle, metallic handle holder, and then the holder itself, and then the wire course you can draw like that. Okay? So there are other parts that you want to draw and explore, like the black wire, all right, where you want to put your handle. All right, this is not the correct way, but just to show you. Okay, so in real life you may have some knots here and things like that, so you can actually add the texturing accordingly. All right, so this ends the training video.